Hello everyone, my name is Faiz Khan Sahil and today we're gonna learn about biological molecules. So, what is a biological molecule? A biological molecules are the building block of life. They make the structure of cell, store energy, carry genetic information. The main type of biological molecule include carbohydrate, which is used as a energy source, lipids, which is also used as an energy store and also act as an insulator in cell, proteins, as you all know their function, and nucleic acid like DNA and RNA. Each of these biological molecule made up of specific chemical element and has unique structure and function. For example, glucose, right? Glucose and take DNA. Glucose act as an energy storage, right? They provide energy, whereas DNA holds genetic information. So as you can see, both of them have different structure and have different chemical elements and have their own function in the cell. Let's move on to one of the most important biological molecule, which is water. Most of the organisms are made up of 80% of their body is made up of water. For example, a human body has made up of 80% of its body mass is made up of water. They act as a solvent for various chemical reaction. If there is no water, this reaction stops and the organism actually die. That's why you can die from dehydration. Let's look at another point, which is cytoplasm and intercellular fluid. Cytoplasm and the space between the cell are filled with watery solution that supports cell function. One of the major constituent of cytoplasm is actually water, right? All these chemical reactions are actually taking place inside cytoplasm. Let's look at another points, which is water act as a transport medium. For example, glucose, for example, the inside the blood in the water stream, glucose molecules, glucose, for example, red one or glucose molecule are dissolved in water and move from one place to another, right? Throughout the body. They also help in digestion. Water help to dissolve enzyme, right? Enzyme has to be dissolved, right? So that, for example, this is a water. For example, this is water, and these are the substrate for the enzyme, right? Enzyme cannot just move like this way, right? It has to move from over here to here. So it when this enzyme and nutrient are dissolved in water, enzyme can travel and break down the substrate, right? Then water is also used as water removal. Water is essential for removing waste product like urea, which is excreted as urine by the kidney, right? Otherwise, these toxic products will accumulate in our body and eventually this will cause us to death, right? Now, what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are a group of biological molecules made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. They are one of the main source of energy for living organism, right? These carbohydrates are actually, for example, this carbohydrate are actually broken down to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, right? These are like, when you ask about what is ATP, ATP is like a battery that we have in real life. Isn't it interesting? And one of the interesting fact about it, this ATP is actually produced by mitochondria. I hope you guys know that thing, because these are the question that actually comes to exams a lot. We actually break down carbohydrate into three main types: monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. We're gonna learn about all of them. Let's first start with monosaccharide. Monosaccharide are the simplest form of carbohydrate consisting of single molecule. For example, we have the formula of glucose, fructose, galactose is C6 H12O6. So you might ask, they all have the same formula, so how come they're different? They have the same formula, but they have different structure, right? For example, they are known as isomer, right? They have the same chemical formula but different chemical structure, so that's make them different: glucose, fructose, and galactose, right? One of the most common form of monosaccharide is actually glucose. Let's look at the structure of glucose. As you can see, it is made up of 6 carbon atom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? However, one of the interesting thing about glucose is that there are actually two type of glucose: alpha glucose, and we have beta glucose. So I know this is a new concept for you guys, but alpha glucose is actually used for storage like glycogen. It is used in glycogen, and beta glucose are actually used in cellulose. Where does you guys find cellulose, by the way? It is present in plant cell wall, right? So you might ask, what is the difference between alpha glucose and beta glucose? It's very simple. You can see this hydrogen group and hydroxide group. As you can see, these are interchanged. For example, this could go up and this will go down, so which make them two type of glucose, right? This is alpha glucose, this orientation. If it's in this orientation, then this is beta glucose. Isn't it interesting? Now let's look at that. Let's read more about carbohydrate. They are soluble in water, as you all know, and they taste sweet, right? The sweetening agent are usually monosaccharides like glucose, fructose, galactose. Fructose is one of the common, by the way. They are also used in respiration to release energy, right? We need ATP to survive. Now let's look at disaccharide. What is disaccharide? Disaccharide is simply when two monosaccharides join together by condensation reaction, releasing a molecule of water, right? For example, suppose this is a carbon of this element, right? We have, for example, H, OH, then we have, for example, for this side, let's just draw it another color, right? Now we have for this carbon atom, we have HOH, okay, OH. For example, these two form a bond, right, releasing a molecule of water in this reaction, forming this bond, right? These bond are actually formed then. Now let's look at another type of carbohydrate, which is disaccharide. No, this is the same carbohydrate. Sorry, these are just an example. For example, sucrose. For example, glucose plus fructose make up sucrose. This is very important. This is actually comes in MCQs a lot. For example, sucrose is made up of glucose plus fructose. These are used in table sugar, whereas maltose is made up of glucose plus glucose. They are found in milk product. Lactose, as we all know, found in milk, which is made up of glucose and galactose. They are soluble in water. They taste sweet. And these are the, as you can see, one molecule of water will release from this reaction. Now let's look at the last form of carbohydrate, which is polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is simply, as you can see in the diagram, several monomers join together to form a long chain. They are insoluble in water. They are actually insoluble in water, in H2O, and they do not taste sweet. Not sweet at all. Okay, they are used as, for example, starch is used as energy storage in plant. Glycogen is also used as an energy storage. They store it. Glycogen is actually stored in human body, in liver and muscle cell. Cellulose is another the structural carbohydrate found in plant cell wall, providing strength and support. Let's look at type of carbohydrate and their function. Now look at the function of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is used as an energy source. Carbohydrate like glucose are used in respiration to release energy. Energy storage like starch, right? Starch is also used as an energy storage in plant. As you already learned, glycogen is used as energy storage in human, right? They are found in liver and muscle cell. They also they also act as a structural support like cellulose, which is made up of beta glucose. We have already discussed that thing. They provide strength and rigidity to plant cell wall. Now, what are fats? Fats are actually another biomolecules. Fats are also known as lipid. They are the biological molecule made up of glucose, hydrogen and oxygen, just like carbohydrate, right? But they have a different structure. They play a critical role in an organism. Let's look at structure of fat. For example, this is a example of triglyceride, which is made up of one glycerol and three fatty acid chain. These are like fatty acid chain. These are all like fatty acid chain. Okay. The structure can be represented by, as we have already explained, one glycerol molecule attached to three fatty acid chain. This is an example of triglyceride. Fats that are solid at room temperature are called fat or saturated fat, right? Fats that are liquid at room temperature are also called oil, right? Fat are generally insoluble in water. Now let's look at the function of fat. The fat is used also as an energy storage. Fat actually provide twice the energy provided by the carbohydrate, which is 39 kilojoule. Isn't it interesting? Fats are used for long-term energy storage because of their high energy content. Many plants store oil in their seed. Actually, they are supposed to be used for germination. So, what are the function of fat? In mammals, fats are stored under the layer of cell known as adipose tissue. If you see the skin, underneath of skin there is a fat layer known as adipose tissue, which mainly act as an insulator for us and also provide structural, or as you can see, is a protective measure. Is also insulate the body, reduce heat loss, so maintain homeostasis and protecting the internal organs. So these internal organs need to be protected. Otherwise, suppose if you are jumping, if you are moving, this organ, if the friction is created, this organ could be damaged. That's why fats are actually used there. Animals have thick layer of fat called bubbler. They help to survive in cold temperature. We have more function of fat. Fat are the key component of cell membrane. For example, cell membrane is made up of phospholipid and they have two fatty acid chain. And these cell membrane help to maintain the cell structure and control the movement of substance in and out of the cell. Now let's look at protein. Protein are actually complex biological molecules. They are actually made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur, right? They are essential for structure and function in the cell. For example, enzymes. So what are enzymes made up of? Enzymes are actually made up of proteins. Protein are the building block of protein are made up of smaller unit known as amino acid. They are actually the building block of life too. For example, Like carbohydrate, like when glucose molecule join together, they form polysaccharide, right? So when amino acids join together, they form proteins. There are 20 different type of amino acids, and we have 20 different type of amino acids that we can some of them are manufactured by our own body cells, and few of them have to be consumed in regular diet. Polypeptide chain, when these amino acids link together, they form a structure known as polypeptide chain. They form a structure known as polypeptide chain. Protein shape. The sequence of amino acid in the polypeptide chain actually determine the structure of the protein. For example, suppose these are different amino acid, right? These will fold to form a structure. Okay, so depending on the amino acid, the structure will vary in cell. So what are protein function? Protein act as a structural support. Protein in your hair, you have keratin protein, right? In your hair and nail, they provide structural strength. They are transport. Hemoglobin in red blood cell carries oxygen around the body. They are used in growth and repair. Protein are used to make new cells, repair damaged tissue, and produce enzymes and hormone. There are several. There is one group of hormone that are mainly made up of protein, right? Enzymes are also made up of protein, and protein are also used to repair damaged tissue. They're also used in the immune system. For example, immune system produce antibody. So if you look at the structure of antibody, this is very interesting, by the way. So this whole structure is actually made up of protein. These structures, suppose these is a bacteria, these are like my beautiful bacterias. Bacteria aren't beautiful, but they are actually really beautiful if you see that. So suppose this is a surface receptor. So over here, antibody will bind over here and carry out the immune response for the cell. Enzymes, protein, many protein act as enzyme, which are biological catalysts that speed up a chemical reaction in the body, such as amylase, pepsin, lipase. Did you got it? Thank you so much, guys, for this. Thank you so much, guys. Please do subscribe to my channel. We are up to this point. Bye bye. See you on next class. I'm really new to the YouTube thing, so I'm a bit nervous. So be with me. Be patient. Ta-ta.